Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the KNB Music Den. I am your friend Keith.
And as always, I'm Brad.
There he is. Hey, man, we've been waiting for this one.
We have been. This has been a good wait, and it's gonna be fun to put this together.
Yep, top 10 albums of the year. A lot of the channels that I watch have already released their picks. We're getting to it a little late due to some technical difficulties on my end with a new phone, but I won't bore you with that story. But I'm back up and running. It's all that matters, and we're getting in, before the new year, so that's good enough, right?
I mean, it's before Christmas technically, so
Yeah, actually, yeah.
it's a surprise to us. But hey, we made
Hours before Christmas Eve.
it. Yep.
Reminds me of how I did my college homework, but wait till the last second. But hey, another great year, man. Before we reveal our picks, let's talk about the year quick. I mean, I thought 2022 was really strong, and man, this was damn close, if not pretty much the same, or maybe even a little better. What do you think?
I think there were some more surprises. I mean, some of the 2022 ones that I really enjoyed, I kind of expected. Um, but when I look at my list here, let me see. I got one, two, three, four, five. I got about 7 albums on here that I would not have thought the artist, not artists I was looking forward to. So it's
Wow.
exciting. A lot of new artists on here for me.
Well, I'm glad to hear that from you, because as I look at my list, I mean, it's all stuff I really love, but I feel maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, people that follow the channel, I don't feel like there's going to be a ton of surprises here.
Okay.
But obviously, what order will they be in is what the main thing for me. A couple surprises, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely my number 10. I think will be a surprise to you and the folks. But I'm going to actually have you go first, sir. And why don't we start and get into this? What is your number 10 album of 2023? The floor is yours.
Sure. Well, my number 10 album comes from a two-person group who released their album on September 15th. Now, the cool part about this is I was there while this was being released in the crowd as they were performing. They opened up for Dinosaur Jr. that night. They're a
Oh,
two-person band, Zoe Randell and Steve Hassett, and the band's name is Lulick. I had to practice that a few times.
yeah.
But the name of the album is Diamonds. And it's just a
Okay.
fantastic two-person thing. Zoe on the guitars and vocals, and Steve doing whatever Steve wants. He's on bass, he's on guitar, he's piano. I mean, he's doing all kinds of background atmospheric things.
Hmm.
And it's just the most calming, peaceful album. I mean, it's to hear them open for something like Dinosaur Jr. was such a
Yeah.
dichotomy of sounds, but it worked so well. So for me, that album is one that's going to stick around. I listen to it still about once a week. So number 10,
Wow.
Lulick, Diamonds.
Awesome. Can you spell that for the folks, the name of the group?
Lulic.
Lulick. Okay, I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yep.
Just the brief thing you just said there has me interested in hearing what they sound
Yeah.
like. So cool. Well, already a surprise, number 10. And I'm going to match you surprise for surprise, because
Okay.
I don't think this is a band we've talked about on the channel. I'm pretty sure. And I have a feeling you've heard the name, but maybe not much else, is my guess. But my number 10 comes from a band that put out a really strong album this year. Just a straight ahead rock and roll band. They kind of remind me of, how I like to say, if you put things in a blender and then you get the
Oh,
next.
yeah.
To me, this is kind of like the Black Crowes and Jet in a blender. Not bad at all, right?
No, that's a great combo.
And a killer lead singer, great guitar work. The band you may have heard of is called Dirty Honey.
No.
No, okay. I think
No.
you love these guys. Yeah.
Okay.
And the album is called Can't Find the Brakes, like brakes in your car, spelled that way.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just there's a couple cool ballads on here, but most of it is just straight ahead in your face rock and roll. The singer's got a killer range, killer vibe. It's one of those authentic voices. You believe every word he's singing. The band is tight AF, as the kids like to say. And man, I tell you what, it kind of snuck up on me. I'd heard of this band from their previous album, and was looking forward to it. And yeah, just very, very strong, and just snuck in to my list at number 10. That's the band Dirty Honey, and the album's called Can't Find the Brakes.
I'm going to have to check that out because the two bands, I mean, that just sounds like a cool combo. So
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm not familiar with them, so that's kind of funny.
yeah.
Um,
They're a great find. Yeah.
how many albums do they have out?
I think this was their second or third, I
Okay,
believe.
okay, so they're
Yeah,
new. They're not okay.
yeah. They're fairly new. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. My number 9 is a band we did review,
Okay,
and this was back in March of 23. So this was towards the beginning of the year.
okay.
Hello Mary with the album Hello Mary.
Wow.
This is an album that when I was big on it when we reviewed it. If you remember, I was really big on it, and it's when it stuck in my play chart. One of the nice things about Spotify is it kind of shows you what you've listened to a lot throughout the year,
Yeah.
and a lot of their songs were on that list. So this was an album that I came back to a lot throughout the year. So Helena Strait and the band, this is their second album. So I mean, again, early on for them, but for me, this was my number 9 of the year.
Great. Is that an all-female band?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
Which
cool.
is strange. So my first 2 artists are
Yeah.
females. There you go.
Yeah. I noticed that. That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I remember listening to that one when we reviewed it. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. Spoiler alert, did not make my top 10, but
Okay.
but I'm glad it made yours because that's a cool pick. That's a band that some people might slip off their radar. So I'm glad you're featuring them. Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of a Nirvana kind of sound. Is that right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I kind of reckon them back to Veruca Salt almost.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't fight this either, buddy.
Yeah, you can't. You just can't.
Still, you're in 2023. We still can't fight. So, all right. Well, hey, I love your picks so far. My number 9 is also a album that I think we reviewed. I'm sure you'll remind me. I don't know if I did it solo. I think we did it together. But the band, this is the moniker of the singer-songwriter Dallas Green. He goes by City and Color.
City and Color. Yep. Okay.
Remember that one?
We did a little review on this. I think you did we did a review on this. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was fun.
Yep.
Yeah. The album's called The Love Still Held Me Near. This one, I mean, I've been following this guy. He was the singer in Alexis on Fire when that band that had like a screamer and a singer. Mm-hmm. He was the singer. And he's gone on to do a lot under the name City and Color, which is just his voice is just fantastic. Great songwriter, everything you're looking for in singer-songwriter stuff. But being said that it's singer-songwriter, I mean, this album isn't just him in a hushed acoustic the whole time, which can be great too. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cool production on this album. There's a lot of cool sounds. I feel like he kind of took everything he does well and just dialed it all in perfectly on this album. I really think it's one of his best ever, which helped it propel it into my top 10. So Dallas Green, also known as City and Color, at number 9 with The Love Still Held Me Near. I encourage folks to check it out.
Very good. Yeah, no, and if you remember correctly, we reviewed that the same week we reviewed my number 8.
Oh!
Which is King Tuff, Small Town Stardust.
Small Town Stardust. Yep.
Now, when this first came out, I told you I thought this had a chance for my record of the year. But as the year went on, I noticed I didn't listen to this as much as some of the other albums. Sure. Now, every time I put it on, I love this album.
Yeah.
But I just don't go back to it quite as much as some of the ones at the top. So it did straight down to me. But King Tuff is Kyle Thomas, who also did some stuff with Jay Mascis of Dinosaur Jr. So there's a little bit of the theme I got going on. But yeah, this was a solo record he put out in January, 27th of this year. So bright and early in the 23s. But yeah, that's my number 8.
Cool. I remember that one. I remember enjoying it. I think it connected with you a bit more than me.
Yeah, I think so.
But very, very good. I mean, I would definitely encourage people to check it out, no doubt. And that's King Tuff, Tuff, correct?
Tuff.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right. So I feel like, at least for you, after this number 8 pick, a lot of this is not going to be too much of a surprise, kind of what the order is. We'll see. But my number 8 is an album that was slowly released song by song throughout the year.
Oh.
And then officially dropped in December. So I think it kind of fell off a lot of people's radar for their end of the year list because it did release in December. But it is an absolute legend. It's another one of these guys that's, in their golden years that's making tremendous music. I'm speaking of Peter Gabriel.
Huh, okay.
And his new album called I.O. Dude, this is a fantastic album.
I'm not too familiar with this one.
Yeah, I would check it out. I mean, it's been in the works for many years. Gabriel is known for taking forever to make an album, but even longer than the County Crows do. But when you get it, you're like, okay, it was worth the wait.
Cool.
This has great production. His voice is still absolutely spectacular. I mean, he's in his 70s. I literally don't hear a difference in his voice, like pretty much at all, which is like, wow, it's impressive. But it's got lots of cool beats. It's got like electronic touches. It's got great songwriting, man. It's just a solid addition to his
Peter's always been a great songwriter, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, this is a solid addition to his stellar catalog. And yeah, I grasped onto it here in early December and just kept listening to it. And I was like, man, this really deserves to be in my top 10.
Damn, there we go.
So there's my number 8, Peter Gabriel with I.O.
Nice. All right. Well, my number 7, I'm going to change up sound a little bit here. And the band Slowdive released an album this year called Everything Is Alive.
Yes.
And this is a sound that I got into during the COVID time. A lot of the shoegaze, a lot of the old 80s and 90s shoegaze. And when I found out this band put out an album in September, it's fantastic. It sounds just like the stuff from the past. I mean, Neil Halstead, Rachel Goswell, that duo that makes that classic sound like on Slovakia. And it's their 5th album, which is shocking because they've been around for like 40 years. So again, they're not putting out albums frequently, but this one got rave reviews across the board. I mean, anywhere you look, giving this thing high scores. So for me, it had to be on my list too. I listened a ton to it once it came out.
Well, dude, I'm so happy that you put this on your list because literally like a couple days ago, I was watching something on one of the other YouTube channels, the music channels that I love to watch so much. I forget which one it was, but there was a guy that I think it was his top album of the year actually, and he was just raving about it. And I was thinking to myself, man, I got to listen to that one again. And here it is on your list. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. Pardon me, folks. So my number 7 is another album that we reviewed on the channel.
Okay.
There's going to be a big theme for the rest of my list with that, which makes sense, I guess. But so I'm sure you remember our friend Andy Schaaf.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, and his album Norm.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, wow. I mean, I sound like a broken record with some of these, but his voice is just very special, very unique. And again,
very big on that right from the start.
Yeah, and this is a guy just like City and Color at my number 9, where I feel like so many strong albums leading up to this, and then this one just kind of dialed in everything he does well, and just a 10 out of 10, just A++. So again, one of those ones where if people say, "Oh, I'm not familiar, where should I start?" I wouldn't hesitate to point you to the new one, and then take it from there. But Andy Schaaf, fantastic, underrated singer-songwriter. The album is called Norm, and that's my number 7.
Hey, that's a good choice. I know you were big on that right when it came out, so
yeah,
that doesn't surprise me to see that out there. Number 6 was an album that was released March 24th of this year. It is the first album without Andy Fletcher.
Depeche Mode.
Yes, Memento Mori. Yeah, I thought this was a fantastic return to form for them.
Yeah.
I mean, without one of their key members and contributors, and that album came out, and I was kind of curious what we would be hearing and how the sounds would come out. It was fantastic. They didn't miss a beat. So, I mean, that's an album that I was going back to quite a bit throughout the year and check back in with. And for me, that was my number 6, Depeche Mode, Memento Mori.
Great pick. A lot of people are talking about that one this year. Yeah, that's one that I enjoyed when I listened to it, but I didn't return to it a lot for some reason. But I want to revisit that one on fresh ears because I think it's probably better than I even remember. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, so yeah, it's gotten accolades all across the board. So that's good. All right, well, my number 6. And by the way, this will be the last one of my list that I do not show the physical format because I was lucky enough to get all of my top 5 on vinyl this year.
Oh,
So it might play
That's
my
right.
hand as to
I
what
decided not to show any because I only had like 3 with me, and I'm like, I can't make the other 7 feel bad.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool. So for regular viewers of the channel, it might play my hand a bit of what's going to be my top 5, but we'll get to that. My number 6, and I'll be perfectly honest, my number 6 and my number 5 were so close that it really came down to I was able to find my number 5 on vinyl.
That's
So
okay.
it's almost like a tie for 5th place. But that being said, it is my number 6. And I'm sure you remember we discovered the new album by the band Deer Tick this year on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And their new album, Emotional Contracts, is my number 6. So yeah, this is a band that I've really loved for a long time. I know you're very familiar as well.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the 3 middle brother guys. So yeah, and again, this is another one where I think they just took everything they do well and just nailed it. I don't know if I can go so far as to say it's my absolute favorite Deer Tick album. I have to live with it some more still. Some of their early stuff is just stunning. But this is another one of those bands where, it's not always Macaulay that sings the lead, and it works.
No. Yeah.
And I like that variety. I mean, some people, and again, it really depends on the band. Some bands, really probably shouldn't have other people singing. But this one does. I mean, they have, I think, 3 guys actually that sing leads at different points. And it all just, they have a way of picking the right singer for the right song. Mm-hmm. And it just all is dialed in very, very well on this album. So my number 6 is by Deer Tick, and the album's called Emotional Contracts. I highly recommend it.
Fantastic pick.
Thank
my
you.
number 5 pick, I don't think it's going to surprise you.
Okay.
If I bring up the word triumphant, does that bring an album to mind for you?
Paul Simon.
Number 5. Paul Simon.
There it is.
7 songs.
Nice.
This was released May 19th, 23. And as you can see, just saying the word triumphant brought you right back to what we thought of this album.
I remember, yeah.
I felt kind of bad putting it at 5. It's just I listened to the top 4 above it so much that I had to slot it there. But this thing could have easily been the album of the year. I mean, this is such a fantastic album. What a great return for him. So this is one I thought may be a double that you might have on your list. I don't know, but we'll see. But for number 5, Paul Simon, 7 Psalms.
Great pick. Great pick. Yeah, that's getting a lot of accolades. I'm trying to remember. I think from what I glanced at, that Uncut magazine, that magazine I love from the UK, mm-hmm. I believe they put this at number 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. So here's where I get to show off my vinyl.
All right, here we go.
So coming in at number 5, and I'm going to quiz you here. I don't know this will be hard for you to get, but if you get it, I'll be impressed. But do you remember an album that we discussed this year where I said that we talked about if we would get them on vinyl or not?
Yeah.
So I said, I don't know if I would, but if I did, I'm sure I wouldn't regret it. Do you remember which album or which band that was?
I do not.
Well, it's one of your favorite bands that came back and put out an album this year.
Oh man. Rolling Stones? No, that wouldn't be.
No,
I have no clue.
I think you even said you have a tattoo of this band.
Gaslight Anthem.
There it is.
Oh, okay, you got that. All right, very good.
I made you work for that one, buddy.
Yes, you did.
There it is. History books.
Yeah. Great album.
So there it is. Cool. Oh, dude, I'm not going to do this for every album because it'll take too much time, but I do want to show, this is an indie store exclusive, and they said it's on Canary Yellow. I didn't know what that meant exactly, but I pulled this bad boy out, dude. This is a beautiful piece of wax. Look at this.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Fluorescent.
Yeah, this is one that I did come back to a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I listened to a lot of times, and it was really, it kept creeping up my list. So
yeah.
And like I said, I pretty much I think at that time when I was getting near finalizing my list, I realized I had the other four on vinyl. I was like, well, I might as well have the top five on vinyl. So I got
pick.
it.
Smart pick.
Like I said, this was kind of tied with Deer Tick, but still, just a great album. Folks, I'm gonna say to you at home, I'm thinking this might be a double. We might see it in Brad's list, but we'll have to wait and see.
You gotta wait
But
and see,
that's just my guess. But my number 5 is Gaslight Anthem with History Books.
Very cool pick. Yeah, and that's a great album.
Yeah.
Number 4 is a band I don't know if you know. This is an album that got released on Third Man Records in November of this year. And Third Man Records puts out nothing but great stuff.
Yeah.
Called Hotline TNT.
I don't know this.
Yep. Again, this band has a little bit of a shoegaze sound to it, and a little bit more of a it's alternative indie rock with a shoegaze leaning, being produced by Third Man Records. So you kind of know what you're getting. Very cool sound. Lead singer Willie Anderson does great work. This just, like I said, came out in November, so I only had 2 months with this one, but this gets a lot of play with me. I really enjoyed this album. It's got great sound, great production. So, and then great reviews on this one too. I mean, this is another one that record company just pops out great albums after, one after another. So number 4, Hotline TNT, Cartwheel.
I'm very excited to check that out.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Very cool stuff.
Wow, that's see, and that's the other great thing about. There's so much great music coming out. You just have to know where to find it.
It's hard, yeah.
I like to stay on top of things. I like to think that I do, and I've never even heard of that. And I'm very excited to check that out. So cool, good pick. That was your number 4?
4, yep.
Okay, so my number 4 is an album that we absolutely reviewed.
Okay.
That you and I both gushed over.
Okay.
And do you remember, this is the album that you said that I ruined your weekend because you couldn't listen to anything but.
Yes, I do. Yeah. This would be Keaton Henson.
Yep. There it is. Keaton Henson with House Party.
Yep.
I had to order the vinyl on this one, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So again, Keaton, one of those guys that I've just been following for years, a singer-songwriter. And this album is, a bit of a departure for him. A lot of his stuff is just him and an acoustic guitar and strings and synths. He's done some instrumental stuff, like classical sounding stuff. He's a painter. He's an author.
Oh, yeah.
A Renaissance guy like Joseph Arthur, Ryan Adams.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah.
He's more known in the UK, I think. But yeah, just kind of like you said last year about Andrew Combs with Sundays, that Fabergé egg.
Yeah.
Although this one has a bit more pop leanings to it at times.
Still a very fragile album.
Yeah. And his voice, oh my gosh, talk about fragile. And authentic as it gets.
You ain't kidding there.
Yeah. So again, this in the United States, I don't think this guy is a household name. But honestly, only because it was a very strong year is this not even higher on my list.
Yeah.
But I am very happy to showcase it at number 4. This is Keaton Henson with the album called House Party.
Very good. Great.
Check it out. Thank you. Top 3, buddy.
So number 3 was one that I had to go on a little bit of a driving excursion to find for us, if you remember. It was a bit of a race around trying to find it. And we finally tracked it down. It's Spiders to Mars Records.
Yes.
You know what album I'm talking about?
You are talking about Hack Me Diamonds.
I certainly am. This is a fantastic album from a band that's been around, how long? 50, 60? I don't even want to know at
Almost
this point.
60 years, yeah.
Yeah, damn. But fantastic. I mean, we reviewed this. We sat in your living room and heard it for the first time.
Yeah.
And we reviewed it right from there. And I think we both were of the impression this was a standout for them after the 80s.
Oh, so, yeah.
I mean, number 3 for me definitely had to be Rolling Stones on this one.
Yeah, and there was a lot said when it came out, and even still about the production. Some people thought it sounded a little too perfect or slick, or I don't know, man. I just think it rocks.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think it's another one that you could use the word triumphant, really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So, well, it has happened, folks. not only do Brad and I have a double, but it's the same ranking number.
Number
my
three for
number
you, too.
3
All right.
is Rolling Stones. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, that worked out well. So, yeah, and again, it's one of these ones where were we blown away initially because of the fact that they're almost 80 and they haven't put out an album for so long, or was it really that good? And then over time, I keep listening to it, and I know you must feel the same way because it's your number 3, but it is really that good.
It is really that good, yeah, it's fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Get Close, I think, is just. I mean, I think that's better than Angry. Actually, I think they should release. They should have released that as a single. I mean, there's every song on here is just really good.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, Tell Me Straight with Keith Richards singing. That's another good one. So yeah. What do you think of this cover, by the way? Some people were saying they thought it was awful.
I wouldn't say awful. I wouldn't say I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put it under. As far as how good the album is, this album cover is almost the opposite of how good it is. It's one of their worst album covers.
Yeah, I heard some people really trashing it online. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. So, but all right, so we both had the same number 3. Let's see what you have in number 2.
Well, number 2 and my number 1 were almost flip flop. I could have took either one as 1 or 2, and it just depended on the weather. It just depended on, was it sunny and I wanted to go out and rock? Is it raining and I wanted something a little more somber? But number 2 for me is Queens of the Stone Age in Times New Roman.
There you go.
I mean, Josh Homme came out with a fantastic album again. I mean, you knew I became a huge Queens fan this year.
Yes.
And this album, the more I've sat with it, it's just gone up the list for me. This is now a top 2 or 3 album for them to me. Just there's not a bad track on this album. The more I've listened to it, the more I've liked it. Where usually the more I listen to something, the more I start picking it apart a little bit. This one, the more I've started to enjoy each and every track for itself. So for me, this was triumphant. This is another big home run hitting album, and Homme knocked us out of the park. So number 2, Queens of the Stone Age in Times New Roman.
Great pick. Yeah, that's been getting a lot of love that I've been seeing too on these end of the year lists. Deservedly so. I enjoyed the album a lot. I've still got 2 picks left. We'll see. But I will say I knew you were going to feature it, so
yep.
So all right, so we're up to my number 2, and like you just said to the folks about your top 2, to me, it was like kind of 1A and 1B, very very tight race. Although they do kind of have a similar vibe, I will say. But my number 2 has been mentioned already by you, Brad.
Oh, okay. I'm guessing. I think it might be my number 5 pick.
I think you're right, and that was
Paul Simon.
There it is.
Yep.
7 Psalms by Paul Simon. And I'll tell you what, folks, I'm real excited to show my number 1 here in a little bit, because I thought it was impossible for this album to be knocked out of my number 1 spot right after the first time I heard it. I said, hey, man, nothing's stopping this. Although I said that about Keaton Henson before this game. But so it keeps rolling like that. But folks, if you're not familiar, I know you know who Paul Simon is, but if you're not familiar with this album that came out this year, it is very much like a classical piece, but there's vocals, there's lyrics that are absolutely tremendous. But his guitar playing is unbelievable. It's like one long piece. It's like 7 movements, one long song. And it takes you really through the journey of life up until death. But it's done so beautifully, so carefully and thoughtfully, and it's not done in a cheesy way. It's not done in an obvious way. It's done in a brilliant way by one of the greatest songwriters that's ever walked on the earth. And if you just know some of the Simon and Garfunkel, you know a little bit of his 80s stuff, like from Graceland, and you might not even know that this came out. I highly recommend that you check this out, as does Brad at number 5. So there it is, Paul Simon with 7 Psalms. Now, let's have a little fun here, buddy. As I say this, though I have no idea, I was gonna say I'm gonna try to guess what your number one is.
Mm-hmm.
Now you said it was, you know, you could rock or be in a different mood, you know. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I could be
Yeah,
wrong, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I'm guessing that your number one is Sufjan Stevens.
it is not.
Okay.
I'm surprised you haven't noticed that this album is missing from my top 10 so far. When this is an album that I was gushing over so much when we talked about it.
Oh, did you put Keaton Henson at number one?
Number one for me is Keaton Henson.
Oh,
I tried all year to take it off the list and put something else above it, and I just couldn't.
That's awesome.
Keaton Henson with House Party was a blow. Just like I told you, it ruined my weekend because we had so much work to do, and I couldn't take it off when I put it on. It was
wow,
fantastic. So for me, that was kind of the measuring stick for the year was that album, and nothing ever quite topped it. It got close, but between that and Queens of the Stone Age, those two albums just got so much rotation from me.
Dude, I am so happy to hear that you put that at number one because I know at the time we reviewed it, you were pretty new to Keaton.
Mm-hmm. Very new.
And I had known him for a long time. And to me, this was like another Keaton Henson album, but to you, it was like discovering not just the album, but him, you know?
Yeah.
So wow, dude, that's awesome. I'm so happy about that.
Fantastic album.
Yeah, and if they edged out Queens of the Stone Age, that's saying something.
Well, it's, like I said, if it's sunny and hot out tomorrow, I'm putting Queens on. It's just it depends on the weather, but they were right there for me. So I flipped the coin, and Keaton was there longer this year and held that spot so long that I just had to. He was only there longer by a week. It looks like June 9th, Queens came out June 16th, but he was there, so gave him the nod.
Well, folks, I mean, I had it at number 4. Brad has it as his album of the year. So, I mean, that's huge praise and a big reason to check him out, Keaton Henson. If you like House Party and you want something even a little more hushed and stripped back and delicate, I would recommend then going to his album called Dear, Dear, which is fantastic. So I guess I'll turn the tables, or vice versa, or whatever. What are you going to be able to guess what my number one album of 2023 is?
Shocking, I don't think I am, because the ones that I thought would be there weren't there. I thought Keaton Henson had a chance. I thought Paul Simon had a chance. I don't know what your number one is. I really don't.
Well, I will tell you that my number one album of 2023 is what I just guessed that yours was. And that's Sufjan Stevens.
Sufjan Stevens. Okay.
Yeah. Dude, this album is still blowing my effing mind. I
bet let's do that 11. That was one of my honorable mentions. Number 11 was.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked this didn't make your list. I'll be honest.
Yeah. It was. I was looking to try to poke it in, but I just didn't want to get rid of any that were in there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we highlighted different things,
Yeah.
You mentioned a few already that I want to listen to, like right after we film. But guys, if you're familiar with Sufjan, he's just brilliant musician, songwriter, singer. His voice is amazing. His vision is amazing. I mean, he has, one of his most revered albums is Come On Feel the Illinois, which is all about the history of the state of Illinois. And it sounds very much like a soundtrack to a modern musical. And it's, on some days, I think that's one of the best albums that's ever been recorded. I mean, and then he comes out with this, which is very much like his early stuff, like Seven Swans, where it's a lot of just him and a guitar. Some people compare this one to Carrie and Lowell, which is from more recent years. I think, well, Illinois is such a different animal, and Greetings from Michigan as well. But this may be his. I
think it's his best.
Yeah.
The word I was
searching for was opus. This may be his opus. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely his highlight. If you're looking at his discography, I'd say this is the gem of the group here.
Yeah. And the packaging is beautiful. It comes with a big booklet of art that he did. I assume he did. A lot of it's like collage kind of stuff, which is also on the cover. You can see there. His face shows up there in some of this too. But I mean, folks, you know, if you're not familiar, if you want to just start somewhere and see, well, is this something I'd want to listen to the whole way through? Just pull up the song "Will Anybody Ever Love Me." I mean, if that song doesn't grab you, then it's just not your thing.
And if it doesn't, try Evergreen, because that one will.
Oh yeah, Goodbye Evergreen, the first song.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So there it is, buddy. Any big surprises from my list, or any thoughts?
I'm trying to remember what number 10 and 9 were, because I think those were early on. I'm trying to remember.
Dirty Honey.
Yeah, Dirty Honey. I don't know. I got to check them out.
Yeah.
So yes, that was a big surprise.
Well, then I had at number 8. I had Peter Gabriel, which might have been a surprise.
That was a surprise as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your bottom half was a little surprising.
Yeah.
Surprised me was number 4, Keaton Henson. I thought for sure that you were going to be number 1 or 2, because I know that was really high on your list for a while too.
Well, and I struggled. And the funny thing is, I didn't go back and listen to that one as much as I thought I would.
And
because, I mean, dude, as soon as I heard the Sufjan, it was like, that was it. I mean,
yeah,
I've listened to that like constantly on rotation since it came out. And you know, it's interesting you say, because I did struggle with the order between Keaton Henson at 4 and Rolling Stones at 3. I was going to maybe flip-flop that, but I don't know. I just decided on what I did. But your list, I know you had a couple things I've never heard of that I'm anxious to hear. I hope I get this right. Hotline TNT, was that?
Hotline TNT, yep, from Third Man Records.
Yeah,
number 4.
Immediately.
Then you had Lulick, number 10.
Yeah.
With
I remember
that 2-person project.
Yeah.
And then I think Slow Dive caught you off guard too, but that one's been high on a lot of lists. And like you said, I mean, that was a fantastic release.
Yeah, that's one I was already planning to go back and listen to because of some other things I've been hearing lately online. So the fact that it popped up on your list, I was like really, really happy about that.
Yep.
So, all right, folks. Well, there's our list. You know, we're gonna say, what are your lists? What did we miss? What do you agree with? You know, what are your top 5, top 10? Hey, if you want to do a top 20, it was a great year. Go ahead and put it in the comments. This is what we love, because you may point out stuff that we totally missed. And then, you know, we're just, you know, we do this for the channel, but also there's so much that we listen to that doesn't make it to the channel. So we just love to listen to music, which is why we started this. So turn us on to stuff we may have never heard of. You know, talk about our order, talk about, you know, our picks, talk about your picks, whatever you want to talk about. 2023, it's coming to an end. So let's get our thoughts and comments in. So, hey, Brad, great list. I appreciate your time as always. Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry I didn't ask. What are you drinking there right before this holiday?
Oh, yeah. Well, today we are doing an Ayinger. It's a Oktoberfest from Germany.
That looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many?
Can you still see me? Someone's calling.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Keep going. It happened to me too earlier.
That's funny.
So I think we're all right. We'll see. Okay, I don't do editing, so but. So, well, again, folks, thank you so much. And as we wrap up the year, just thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Hey, I tell you what, there's already some announcements about stuff coming out next year, some big artists and some stuff that we're really going to sink our teeth into for you. So we look forward to, you know, another calendar year of the KMB Music Den. So, yeah, let us know what you think of our list. Tell us what yours are. As always, Brad, I am your friend Pete. And this is the KMB Music Den. Please like the channel, subscribe. Excuse me, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Sorry, I'm a little exhausted. And we will see you next year. And we'll see you. We got some more content coming up with the Goldilocks game. We got Discnology REM coming up soon. It's a little busy with the holidays, so we apologize for the delay. But we are rolling into the new year, and we appreciate you guys watching us. And hey, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Be safe. And let's get ramped up for 2024. Lots of great music is going to come out, and we will be there every step of the way to let you know what our thoughts are. Thanks, Brad.
You got it, Pete.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
You too.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
See you.